must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
We gather here today as one nation because we have a date with destiny. As you know, many dark forces have labored to prevent this election, but they have failed because no force on earth can stop the change that God has decreed for us. For 26 years, Malawi's wealth has been plundered, its institutions paralyzed, and its citizens impoverished by a toxic dynasty of two families. But God has given us another chance to choose change. That is destiny.
Thank you very much, viewers. The continent of Africa has faced several conflicts, crises, wars, originating from bad elections. The Malawi election is one example where the opposition beat the incumbent with a margin that is not disputed, what we call undisputed margin. Today, Malawi ushers in a new era of how we can conduct elections in Africa. If you are aggrieved, you go to court. Don't call masses to come on the streets. But one thing that shook me about the Malawi election is the destruction of property, the destruction of monuments, the destruction of anything associated with the previous ruling regime or government. Those are not good manners. That is not how Africa should usher in a new era of victory. A new era of victory in Africa should look the accommodation of the loser, accepting that losers also have numbers, accepting that losers are Malawians, they are Kenyans, they are Ugandans, they are Tanzanians, they are Zimbabweans, they are Egyptians, they are not foreigners, they are not aliens from planet Mars, they are people from the same country. There are so many ways of going to the kingdom of God. Several of them. You can enter the kingdom of God as a Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu. You can also enter as a pagan, because we don't know who judges who. Therefore, just as there are many ways of going to God and praying before God, let's have many ways of dissecting our issues as Africans. Let's agree to disagree, but agree to live together. Let's leave violence. Let's create a culture of giving the president, the ruling, the incumbent, a dignified exit. The question of Kenya, where former President Kibaki still lives, the others left. They are enjoyed the fruits before they passed away. Moi passed away. Kibaki is living, enjoying the status of a former head of state. the essence of this parting shot is let's reconcile even when we have won. Let's reconcile with the past. Let's forgive. I was not impressed with the speech by Lazarus Chakwera because it's a speech of witch hunt, a speech of revenge, a speech that will not unify the people of Malawi. Talking about revenge, talking about dynasty, talking about 26 years, the molestation. If we start on that note, viewers, it will be a disaster. Thank you very much. Emulate the example of President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga of working together to create a united Africa and a united nations of Africa and your countries. Thank you. Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting from Nairobi, the Republic of Kenya. And in the studios of the Punchline Africa Television down in Nairobi, miles away from me, is none other than Miriam Ogutu. Good morning.
A very good morning to you, Doctor.
Away from the studios across the bridge in the CBD of Nairobi is Daniel Wesonga. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Matsanga, Miriam, and our esteemed viewers across the country and the continent of Africa. Good morning.
Thank you very much. This is Matsanga Africa Perspective, a show that brings light, that says it, that talks about Africa, that looks at the African perspective, that discusses Africa, that lays down bare knuckle analysis. We want to go straight to the point. After this introduction of about 6 to 7 minutes, I will hand over to Miriam. She becomes the co-host of the show. Then I will come back later to summarize when she gives me the powers to do so. But I will first begin with this topic, Matsanga, Africa Perspective. The topic is revenge. The main word there, Miriam, really, is revenge politics. Mm-hmm. It's revenge politics. And I'm going to base this argument on the Kenyan issue, the Kenyan handshake, the Kenyan BBI, the Kenyan redemption, the Kenyan example in Africa. The people of Kenya today can die of any hunger, die of anything if God wants, because I'm not the one who decides who should die. I don't have a timetable. But they cannot die over violence anymore as a result of two parties not agreeing. They came together on 9th of March 2018. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya, elected by the people of Kenya in the second round after the nullified election by Chief Justice Maraga and a co. Stretched his hand across to get one of the contenders of the first election, where he garnered over 6-point-something million votes, the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. I brought this topic today because I want people to understand what it takes to redeem a nation, what it takes to have a peaceful nation, what it takes to have a peaceful election, what it takes to change the methods of election, what it takes not to revenge. That is why anybody looking at the top of the surface would think we did not bring it for that purpose. The whole of this week, the newspapers from Monday to today was talking about the same. People not agreeing over the Prime Minister's slot, people not agreeing of the referendum. This is why I brought this topic. It's very knowledgeable, therefore, for some editors of other stations to pick from me. But remember to say thank you for the rights. Don't just pick and consume it as if you have got also something in your handbag. Say thank you to the owner. I'm bringing this subject because it's a crucial subject for the people of Kenya, for the people of Africa. What triggers problems? And then, why do you revenge when you have won an election? 2, I brought this subject because I wanted the students of African contemporary politics who are at home today to listen to me, to see why we should embrace the policy of handshake across Africa, where the winner does not take all. The loser becomes part and parcel of a process. Why have I said so? Because democracy is a process. All of you took part in an election. You did not take part in a war that you vanquish your enemy. Then you come back and say, I'm the winner. You took part in an exercise, a football match, equivalent. You won. But the man who lost is not because you are the biggest. It's because there must be one person who has to be ahead. It is like in the story of John and Jesus. Even God had to send John to go first because he didn't know how people will receive Jesus. Said, John, go ahead ye and try to test the ground before I bring my son called Jesus Christ. Politics, democracy is like that. The Kenyan example is a test case for the whole of Africa to understand that in politics, you don't go there with guns to kill each other. You don't revenge after you have won, but reconcile, accommodate those that you have vanquished. It brings me to the second plank of our discussion. The question of Malawi elections. I want to be on record as an African. I'm proud. I don't care a damn. If you don't want me to come to Malawi, I don't need to come. You are my friend. But if you say because I've criticized you, Therefore, I should not come. So be it. To hell. Malawi is not God's paradise to go to. Malawi is like another nation. If Africans don't speak out, I'll speak out. And I remember I am one man whose voice is as loud as the mountain of Elgon, whose voice is as loud as the mountain of Kenya. Mount Kenya, Mount Kilimanjaro, the Alps, the Lake Victoria, from across the bridge. I would shout and the people will hear. I have shouted on many occasions. Tomorrow, I will bring one of the best lessons that you have never seen in the world on Friday. There is something that I told people and they did not know it was coming. Now it has arrived. I will tell you, Miriam, outside this camera. But I speak with passion that if we are saying this, Mr. President Lazarus Chikwera, you are wrong. You have won an election. You should embrace the loser to stabilize Malawi. If people are not telling you, I'm telling you. Because I'm older than you, slightly. You are bigger in voice, but I am older in age. The only thing I miss is the gray hair. We are all Africans. The type of things that you have done since you took power in Malawi are embarrassing. I have no regrets. They are friends of Lazarus here. Thank you. But I'm not speaking on behalf of them. I speak on behalf of Pan-African Forum and Matanga. Because we see these things. You are now, the Malawi thing is breeding a counter-action. Instead of embracing people, handshaking, looking for dialogue to develop your country, to move your country ahead, Your Excellency, you embarked on recrimination, repayment, kulipisha kisasi, revenge. You took out the immunity of the former president. You took out this. These are the people you are setting them for insurgency. They are coming, they will go back and come for you. They have also supporters, 2 million voters. The final tally between Lazarus Chikwera and the Mutharika, Miriam will tell us, Mutharika, the final tally was about 1 million votes. The final tally rose to 2 million to 3 point something out of the registered voters. Malawans of 2 million voted for Mutharika. What is the use of the type of measures that you have brought in to strip him his credentials? You are doing exactly what Chiluba, and you saw how Chiluba went. Lazarus, you're a godly man. I tell you, I am still on this planet. You will say this Uganda and say the truth. The act that you have taken of revenge does not help Malawi. Believe me or not, soon there will be insurgency in Malawi. There is insurgency across in Mozambique. just near the border with them. Don't antagonize the former president. He might have made mistakes. But unite, seek ways of uniting. Forgive him. Forgiveness. Forget about the past, about your country. Let Malawi unite, the new and the old, move on. You have won an election. If you strip off a president, when your law says you don't strip off, you are now becoming a wrong person. That is vindictiveness. You are now trying to victimize. So I brought two of those examples. The Kenyan scenario that would allow an embraced system that today, as we sit here, ODM and the Jubilee Party can share tea in the House of Commons, in the House of Parliament, without antagonism, is a clear example of the Africa that we want. Is a clear example of development that we seek. Democracy does not mean you revenge. Revenge, if Germany wanted to revenge, it will not be a superpower today. If Uganda Museveni wanted to revenge, he saw what it is for revenge politics. He knows what happened in the revenge politics until he sat down with the rebels of the Lord Resistance Army in northern Uganda and sat down, hammered an agreement. Today, Uganda is peaceful. Revenge, revenge, revenge can trigger a conflict. Thank you very much. Over to you, Miriam.
All right, thank you so much, Doctor, there. And of course, we know that Malawi has a new president right now in the name of Lazarus Chakwera. And it appears yesterday after he was sworn in as president, he took a decision that did not sit very well with the supporters of the former president, Peter Mutharika, of stripping him off some of the things that he used to enjoy as president. And one side, for those who are supporting, Lazarus, are saying, well, he's no longer the president, so he does not have to enjoy some of these privileges. But some of the former president supporters said that Peter Mutharika should continue enjoying some of these privileges, even as an ex-president there in Malawi. So thank you so much. And I was just, we were listening into another video that was being played there before we came in on air of this part of the speech that he made when he was being inaugurated there. And I have part of that here. And let me just read a bit of it for Daniel, if you can hear me. And now, I am no stranger to the benefits of good government, although I was raised in a poor village like most Malawians, raised without inherited riches or political connections like most Malawians, raised without electricity or running water like most Malawians. I stand here today because I had one of the blessings of God that young Malawians today do not, the blessings of growing up in a well-governed Malawi. So he's saying since the last time MCP, that is the power that brought him to power, since the last time MCP party was in power, there's not been very good governance there in Malawi. So he's saying now the people of Malawi, the children of Malawi, will have an opportunity to enjoy good governance there. So was that a wrong thing to say?
Yes, thank you, Miriam. And I think Dr. Matsanga has given it quite a clear foray, the issue of how Chakwera has handled his first few days in office. And I think before he took over office, people had a very positive notion about him. But I think slowly from his statement and his actions toward the former president, Peter Mutharika, I think he's going off rail, and he needs to reconsider some of the decisions that he's making. Let's look at the African history. someone like Nelson Mandela. Mandela was incarcerated for over 3 decades by the apartheid regime. But when you read the writings from his books, when he was walking out of prison, Mandela says, and I quote, "As I walked out of the door toward the gate that will lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." So the spirit of forgiveness and forging a very warm path of working together between the former presidents and the current regime should be something that should be encouraged in Africa. And the other time, Dr. Matsanga had talked about it. If you try to maybe revive cases and strip immunity of the former presidents, we'll have so many leaders who will not be able to leave office on their own willingness. And also, just go back in history, one of the greatest democracies in the world, in the USA, during the time of Abraham Lincoln, you understand that he had 4 opponents in the nomination for his Republican Party. These were Stewart, Salmon Chase, and the other guy was called Bates. But after beating them in the Republican nomination for president, perhaps the most surprising thing that Lincoln did after being elected as president, he appointed all the 3 rivals into his cabinet, and he put them actually into very strategic positions in his cabinet. And this was one of the actions of magnanimity that was able to stir the country during its darkest time, during the Civil War in America. And this is something that Chakwera should learn from. And also, just looking at Comrade Robert Mugabe, he never had any thoughts of acrimony towards the former colonial master that jailed him in Zimbabwe. So Chakwera should be told that forgiveness should not be an option, but forgiveness liberates the souls and it removes fear. And that is why it is such a powerful weapon to unite any country.
All right, and of course, as we know right now, former President Mutharika has lost immunity, and Malawi new President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera has stripped former President Peter Mutharika of his immunity to face prosecution. If there's
what does it help? What does it help Malawi? It opens up the wounds.
Yes.
You should seek a reconciliation, a handshake, set up a committee or a commission to look into what went wrong in Malawi. That's what good leadership is.
But part of that, Doctor, should be where does accountability fall in this regard?
Accountability starts in a commission. Accountability for Lazarus Chakwera to look like he is a statesman, not a witch hunter, not a revenger. There's a better word, to avenge what took place because you are poor. You grew up in a poor family. You want to play politics of compensation by telling us that I grew up in a place where Onyango was selling shoes in Bata. Therefore, I am seated on the table with the high mighty called Kenyatta. That's the politics that has killed Africa. That is what has killed Africa. The politics of compensation. Because you grew up in a poor family, you have reached power. You want now to undo everything. That's how we are going to end up in Malawi. We are going the George Soros way. And I told you, I warned you people. I like the other gentleman, the lawyer who refused to be the Minister of Justice. That's principle. That's principled politics. But the politics of compensation, compensational politics, that because my father had no money to buy shoes, and Matanga walked 5 miles to go to a primary school. 5 in the morning, you wake up and roast cassava. Wake up at 5, walk in the dew. What is it called? Dew. And a rat has eaten part of your food. You know, in those villages, there are rats. They could come and eat part of your feet without you knowing. Have you seen the way the rat eats your feet? It eats while it is also doing it. So you don't feel the pain, but go in the dew in the morning when you are going to dig with your mother, or you have been told to go to school with mom to go. If the dew from the grass goes in your feet, it's the most painful thing. So if you have gone through that experience, then when you reach power, you should be the first person to handle conflicts. That's why you see some of us here who walked 5 miles without shoes, who saw independence in Uganda, the flag raised, without shoes, who could eat rice on Christmas and Easter holiday, when rice could be, you can even steal it from mom when they have left it on the 3 stones. We don't behave badly. We want peace. But when President Lazarus Chakwera starts with, I was born in a poor family, so what? It doesn't help Matsanga, it doesn't help Africa. You were born in a poor family, but now you have reached power.
Yes, and that is his personal problem.
No,
yes, that's your problem.
But what he said was, when he was growing, he went through all the difficulties, but something that was there in Malawi at that time was good governance. So life was much better because of the good governance.
I have told you yesterday, I told you Malawi was one of the best places like Scotland. That I had an uncle there in Malawi working as the Auditor General Wambali of East African Community. We used to fly there. Blantyre was England. Who doesn't know that? So if you missed that, what's your problem? It's not my problem. The problem today, you are in leadership. Therefore, you must be criticized. In Africa, we are not going to allow the situation where because you use masses to acquire power, then come to power, then turn on your friends, then create an insurgency. Malawi is on the brink of an insurgency. The way they were doing the elections was not very good. The way they were campaigning was not very good. A good leader would do this and let those who are friends of Lazarus tell him, if he doesn't do the Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, I am telling you. And take my words tonight, to this morning, I don't care. If I don't fly to Malawi, so what? Have I been flying there? Yes. I don't care. In Africa, people need to be told the truth. If you don't do a handshake between you and Mutharika, that nation will be torn to pieces. And we are still on this television radio. Television radio, we are here. You and me, we are still here. God has not called us yet. I want us to return here and you mark this space. When I ask you, Miriam, in the future, did I tell you? If Lazarus Chakwera does not do Uhuru Kenyatta and the Raila Odinga style of shaking hands and say, okay, fine, Mr. Former President, take your cards, your package, we have defeated you, go home. If you start by doing what you are doing now, I told my friend in Zimbabwe, I told Emerson Mnangagwa in Zimbabwe, when they had just taken power, I told them that embrace some of these people. Some people shut me down. Now I'm speaking with that experience. Where are we now? Where are we now in Zimbabwe? Where are we now in Ethiopia? Ethiopia is closed down. No internet, no what, it's closed down yesterday. The other day was a battle of battles. No car is coming to town. All diplomats who are calling me from Addis Ababa are using their satellite phones. You people in Africa, listen to us. Listen to Africans. Don't antagonize your former president. Create a commission of inquiry where all of you shake hands. What has gone wrong in Malawi? Why was Mutharika stealing elections? Change the modus operandi. Don't victimize. These people have followers. Raila Odinga in Kenya has followers. They were going to burn us down, especially me. I was going to be banned. They said he lives somewhere there. I'm now telling you something that I've never said here. There was a special unit. All of you heard what Senator of Siaya, Miriam's senator, said in Uhuru Park about me. All of you, millions of Kenyans, 43 million, except the children born today. They heard what Orengo mentioned my name in particular. So I was high on the list of those to be reached. To be reached, there are some places in Kenya that I did not go to for a meal, even if it was the sweetest meal on planet Earth. But now I go to them. I go everywhere because of reconciliation, because of the handshake, because of coming together, because of not saying the winner takes all. Lazarus Chakwera has taken, the winner takes it all. Brother, and I repeat 3 times, brother, you read the same Bible I read. And in fact, I've read it more than you for 43 years. Because I know your age. It was announced on the TV. It means I went to school before you started. Chunga, don't do that. That's why I brought this topic for you to stop brain, all of you Africans, those watching us wherever you are. I brought this topic. It's part of what triggers conflict in Africa. Revenge. After you have defeated a man, you go for his property. You go for his wife. You go for his children. You go for, There are some who go for their wives. Some of us have lost wives because opponents came for them. Kumbe, they were, people were just very happy that I don't know when that Matanga will die quickly. Or I don't know when that Miriam will leave this man, or Wesonga will leave this coat jacket. Problems in Africa come from that level. Some of us have gone through this, where your opponent comes to marry your wife. And even God tells you, I am here with her now. What would you do? That's revenge. The politics of revenge in Uganda caused us bloodshed. We are now giving straightforward answer. test cases studied. You can look Uganda when the National Resistance Army of the friend of Miriam arrived in Kampala. It took a revenge attitude. Look for all black people. Look for all Obote supporters. Besigye was a minister of state for internal security who was locking all Obote supporters to prison. I reveal that for you today. What is happening to him today? Hey. That's why I wanted to bring this revenge politics. Besigye was the Minister of State, political commissioner of the National Resistance Army, locking opponents of Dr. Milton Obote of an organization called FOBA. I was labeled FOBA, issuing all manner of warrants to arrest people. What is happening to Besigye today? What's happening? Revenge politics. Is he not the one in prison every day? Does he remember? So Lazarus Chakwera, His Excellency, the President of Malawi, should change, should not go. I am not advocating for Mutharika. I have never liked Mutharika when he disappeared for almost 6 months. We didn't know where he is. All of us went to the whole world looking for Mutharika. I am not a friend, but I'm only saying in Africa, learn to embrace Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila type of handshake politics, consensus politics, not to win and take all. I've given you an example of what is going on there. Our country itself, the men now who are seeking to oust President Museveni were his commanders, after they have also done a lot of heinous crimes. Yeah, Miriam, don't, please, you dig in deeper there. If you are a political commissioner of the NRA, which was locking us up because we belonged to Obote, because we are Obote, because we supported Obote. That's all. That's the crime. Today, he can't even live with the fence of his own house. Shame.
But also, Doctor, when he was giving this speech, of course, he said that just part of it. However, I know there are many of you who did not vote for me in this election, and perhaps the prospect of a presidency fills you with fear and grief. But I want you to remember one thing. This new Malawi is a home for you too. As long as its president, it will be a home in which you too will prosper. I only ask you for one thing in return, to give Dr. Chilima and I a chance to earn your trust and make this win a win for all of us. That sounds like reconciliation. He was reaching out to the other side.
Miriam, but also a point that we are trying to evade from is that, as much as he's making the supporters of Peter Mutharika feel like he's going to include them in his leadership, but also one undeniable fact is that these supporters are linked, and Mutharika perhaps has a foothold on them. And whenever evil, whenever bad thing that he might do to Mutharika might have repercussion, and they will determine whether or not these people will be loyal to him as a president and give him the goodwill to govern the country. So if he really means what he's saying about inclusivity, bringing all the supporters of Mutharika plus his own supporters on board,
bring
then
all Malawians
he has to
together.
start by showing, yes, he has to start by treating their leader well, because the moment he treats Mutharika with some contempt, probably that one is going to trickle down to his supporters, and they will bluster, and things may go not as he wishes.
All right, and he also immediately replaced the acting police inspector general, and his place he appointed Dr. George Kainja as the new police IG. I remember last year after those elections, the disputed elections, and when Malawians were protesting, the police was very brutal. So I would understand why he would want immediately to replace the IG, because the police was very brutal to the protesters, who majority of them were his supporters. But also, I still try to understand, because what he said was, according to the new ruling party's manifesto, accountability and following up prosecution of all looters and plunderers is a priority agenda item to bring Malawi to order and sanity and fight corruption. And we remember when President Mwai Kibaki came into power through that the NAC coalition, and they had to go to very mega corruption cases that happened. Remember Golden Bag? And because a lot of money had been stolen from the public, and so it was important to bring into account. So perhaps this is what Chakwera is planning to do. So at what point do we stop? Do we say, okay, fine, we should just leave that president, he's retired and all that? We saw Kibaki going, and these things happened during Moi's era, and I didn't look at it as if it was a witch hunt. It was just what was best for the country, for the interest of the country. What is wrong with that?
Yes, and Miriam,
yes. No, wait. Let me knock Miriam here.
Don't knock me too hard.
Yeah, where did you see Kibaki bringing a commission of inquiry? No. That's why Kenya stabilized.
Mm-hmm. But he allowed that process to happen, and these were heinous acts that happened during the Moi's era.
Yeah, but look here. If you want, you can agree that do we forget it or we go ahead. The president has all the powers to decide whether to forget it or they pursue that route.
What's best for the country of Malawi and the people of Malawi?
Forget the past. Because CCP, Malawi Congress Party, did not also do good things. Hey! Wachana, don't leave sleeping dogs lie. Leave sleeping dogs lie. Kwame Nkrumah told Patrice Lumumba that leave the sleeping dogs lie. And I'm speaking from authoritative point of view. The Malawi Congress Party, which has one power, did not do very well. Hundreds of political prisoners that perished in jail during Kamuzu Banda's reign. We are not going to go into those details. Should we, maybe Mr. Lazarus Chakwera is young, he didn't know what Kamuzu Banda did to people of Malawi. He brought independence, fine. But there are some things that he did wrong. Do you want to go into those things? It is the type of stupidity that we are creating here in Kenya. When you say you want to create, Miriam, you want to create what we call dynasty versus hustler. Once you do that, then you now go and ask, how did that Uhuru is a dynasty? Did Uhuru choose to be born in Kenyatta's family? Did Raila Odinga choose to be born in Jaramogi Odinga's family? Did Ruto choose to be born in Eldoret? Chakwera, did he choose to be born in the family where he was born? Let him go and blame his mother or father.
And I was just checking. His age there.
Did I choose to be born?
He's about 65 years old. He was born in 1955. So I'm sure he went through all that.
Was born in
1955, April 15th there. April 5th, 1955. So he's about 65 years.
The same age.
Yes. So he's not young. He understands the history of Malawi.
He's about 65. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the same age. So we have seen quite a lot of things.
But my question is, Doctor, because he says he wants to go for the plunders, because we have like 5 minutes so that we can take a break and so that you can come back with
who has not plundered?
But my question is, do we just encourage blanket immunity? Because if we continue in this trajectory in Africa, it's going to be very, very serious, because we will see leaders who will be coming in knowing very well, however, whatever they do, it does not matter, because they'll be given immunity even after the presidency. So it's a very delicate balance. We have to encourage good governance and accountability. And we've seen the lack of accountability, Doctor, and you've said here time and time again in South Sudan is why these leaders think they can continue playing with the lives of the people of South Sudan, because nobody's holding them accountable. So I think accountability here is a very, very important factor, that we cannot, as much as we encourage immunity, but we cannot encourage just a blanket immunity. You do whatever you want to do after your presidency. It does not matter what kind of heinous acts you did during your presidency. We'll just forgive you and we will continue. At what point do we draw the line?
By putting a commission of a truth justice commission. You don't pinpoint. Miriam, I've not disagreed with accountability. I want it to take place. But I want Chakwera to put a truth and a reconciliation commission to sort something like a BBI, a bridging of bridges initiative, where people will come to put their views. But if you point out one man, you are going for one man, as Wesonga has said, this man has got followers. What will the followers in the village do? The followers in the village will look for guns to fight you. That's how insurgents in Uganda in 1985, Miriam, started. When Museveni came to power in 1986, he earmarked the black Luos. He went for them. The Bantu army from the south went on looking for anybody who has a black skin in the north. And they caused the conflict. Lakwena came saying that if you use miracle to fight, because people were desperate. They were being raped. They were being tortured. They were being beaten. I have this memory of experience, Miriam. I have this memory. That's why the Northerners said, where do we go? We can't go to Sudan. Where can we go? Let's defend ourselves. And the insurgents cropped up. It killed our country. So I am only appealing to President Chakwera not to create in a fragile situation of Malawi today, Malawans who are celebrating, not to break signposts, not to encourage a behavior of that nature. It could go, other supporters can say, okay, fine. Renamo is across in Mozambique. They will pick guns from there and they cause an insurgence. That, if I'm wrong, just keep this clip. It won't take long. If you push a man to the wall, Madam Miriam, what does the man do? I've given you what Besigye did to us. What is it being done to him today?
Well, he created
5 years. 5 years is not very far.
He's created that. Okay. And doctor, because you're coming in with that special about Zimbabwe, so I just want us to wrap up because it's 12:15 here. And so...
Yeah, there's something that I wanted to tell you.
Yes.
What 5 years to come from now, there will be another election. What about if Mutharika and a group win? Do they go back to look for Lazarus? Wesonga.
Yes. Accountability. Where do we draw the line?
Yes, and I wanted to tell Miriam also to look at the whatever happened in Gambia. I think we had a much worse situation in the Gambia more than what we have in Malawi today.
And Yahya Jammeh had to be held accountable. They're holding him accountable, and he flew away from the country, and that's what you're talking about.
They allowed Yahya Jammeh even to carry his own cars, his money, and everything that he wanted to go just for the sake of the peace of the country, because this is a man who had also his supporters on the ground. But what would have happened, maybe he would have ousted in a very violent way and maybe denied any property that he owned. Then maybe perhaps the Gambia could be in chaos right now. But if we can do a very peaceful transition of power, and that is lies more with the sitting president, which is who is Chakwera. And there's an African saying that says that if you are digging a grave for your opponent, make sure that it doesn't go deep, because you might as well fall into it. And that is what Dr. Matsanga said there. What happens if now the next election, Mutharika and his people come win the seat? What will happen to Lazarus? So he should be so considerate when implementing some of these policies and going for the property that he's claiming to reclaim. And of course, you remember when Kibaki took power, Moi was never arraigned in court. Moi's property was never touched. Moi was never victimized. They used a very proper channel to ensure that they did not trigger the country into chaos.
And maybe that is what Chakwera is planning to use, the law, the rule of law, to ensure that it is done in accordance to the law of Malawi. And some of these people who committed, they're able to be held accountable. I am for accountability and peace.
You have not been convinced.
No, I'm not. I want accountability.
Okay. Can I tell you?
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
Accountability comes in different shapes.
Yes.
An eye for an eye
will leave the whole world blind. Yes, I know that.
But the Truth and the Justice Commission, equivalent to South African Desmond Tutu, is accountability.
Absolutely.
The Mandela route that he took is the type of accountability that Chakwera can use. So that whoever has a problem with Mutharika can go to that commission. If he acquired land, if he acquired property.
Zuma is in court right now. South Africans are not running in the streets because they understand accountability.
Zuma is in court.
He's tall.
But what about the rest of Africans? What about the rest of South Africans who were working with Zuma? Have you brought them to court?
I'm sure they're working on getting some of those people to
what
answer.
About the deputy? No, the deputy president with Chakwera. What was he deputy to who? Have you brought him to court? Have you brought the deputy president who has become your deputy president to court? What about if you, other people, point fingers to the same deputy you have, that he was also part? Mutharika could not have executed the government without the deputy. If Kenyatta is brought on trial, Ruto cannot escape trial.
Yes.
So you tell me that you want to single out your opponent, Hamrabi, an eye for an eye. I am not saying there should not be accountability, media. I want accountability. But we want a wholesome accountability.
Yes.
That you are undertaking Zuma, but you are leaving millions of South Africans, including his children.
His child was in court also last year, I think. One of
now
his
the
sons.
wives, the cronies of the children who were benefiting from Gupita. Why don't we bring all of them? Why don't we set up a commission of inquiry to look at Zuma's leadership in South Africa? You will find so many people, including the killing of Muammar Gaddafi, being brought on the commission. Someone will file an application that Zuma ordered the United Nations ambassador of South Africa to vote in favor of France. And he picked money from the back of his ass. Sorry. Have you seen the crime that Zuma, the biggest crime that Zuma committed in Africa is that he took money to finish Gaddafi. The South African case of Zuma was pure theft. Pure theft. Aliiba. The one of Mutharika, we don't know. Nobody has told us what he's told. You are stripping, you are destroying the constitution because of one man. What about you tomorrow when the 5 years go and another government comes to power? They also strip off Dr. Lazarus Chakwera and he goes to prison. How many people? Look at what happened in Zambia across. Chiluba came to power, stripped off citizenship of Kaunda, put Kaunda in jail, told Kaunda, you are Malawian. Where is Chiluba? He went to heaven before Kaunda.
Yes.
Let's close the subject.
Yes. All right.
He went to heaven.
Before Chiluba, before
So Chunga,
Kaunda.
usikuja na this big voice. You were, please reconcile.
Reconcile. But reconciliation is not complete without accountability.
I know Lazarus is a friend. I know him.
But also, Doctor, you've cited a few ways in which every country got an accountability that is tailor-made to that country. In regards to South Africa, we saw also in Rwanda and all that. So I think they'll find a way that will continue to keep Malawians together and peaceful. But also, I think accountability in whatever context, in Malawian context, that will work and will ensure Malawians still remain united and cohesive. Yes, I support that. But accountability still has to be.
Accountability has to be there.
In their own context.
Yes, agree. But for you, where you are not agreeing,
yes, I don't want a blanket immunity because, Doctor, if these people we have in Africa, they will just do things with immunity, knowing nobody will go after them, and that will be a problem for the rest of us. They'll just kill, plunder, because they know after I leave presidency, I'll be fine.
Seeing the point.
Yes.
That Malawi comes to elections after 5 years.
Yes.
What is the subset? You have done mathematics. What is the subset? In 5 years, do you want also to strip? Where will Malawi end? Let's do one general policy that a commission of inquiry is put forward. Whoever has evidence, file it there. Let them hand the report to the government. Meanwhile, you run the government, you start flying with the presidential jet. Okay? In the opposition, we have Joyce Banda, who took real physical money. Is he not in the government? So why don't you strip immunity? On your own side, who have joined you, they also have skeletons. Why are you not stripping immunity to allow them to be charged the same way like a Mutharika?
Yes.
I brought this topic because I wanted to trick you there. I wanted you to stand on that line, which is very good. You have created a very good argument.
But we have to be very clear here. They have not said now the government is literally going after Peter Mutharika. That is not what...
It is.
But
They removed all his cars.
But he can't keep the same cars he had when he was president. He can't. They have to take part of them.
Look, I'm having live updates. Mama,
Yes.
please. They have really gone for these guys. They are looking for former ministers. They are looking for everybody.
Former
It is like a witch hunt. It is like Muizi, Shika, Muizi, Shika. That is not good. It cannot help Malawi.
So at this point, reconciliation will be more important to bring the people together and to
accountability
heal the country.
first. Accountability first by putting a commission of inquiry.
All right.
By putting a BBI.
A handshake and reach out.
What made Uhuru Kenyatta to put BBI with Raila Odinga? What made them to do that? It's because they had a problem. They were burning down this country. I've just given you a very good example at the beginning. I was being looked for like I was a very high a Chapo. Is it that man of the drug dealer in Mexico?
El Chapo, the one who dug what?
People, they said he sleeps somewhere there.
Yeah.
He sleeps somewhere there. Where is he? So today, but the people who are looking at me, because of the BBI,
They have
we
reconciled.
are even working together.
Absolutely. Yes.
Matanga would be the last person to send a message of recovery to Baba.
Yeah.
But yesterday, Wesonga, you saw my message.
Yes.
Yes. And the Baba received it.
Yes.
He received it in particular. We communicate on Twitter slowly. That is reconciliation. Usiweke kitu roho mbaya kwa roho. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Doctor.
Revenge
Yes,
sparks, triggers conflict.
that does. But accountability is also good.
Thank you.
All right.
You have to account
Yes.
in a careful manner,
In
not to
accordance
spark
to the law.
a new conflict.
Conflict in the country. Absolutely, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you
I
very much.
agree with you on that. Thank you so much. And Daniel, you will not give your last word today. Thank you so much. Because of time, Doctor has to come back with a special, program on Zimbabwe. So thank you so much, our viewers. Doctor, we'll see you on the other side of the break. My name is Miriam Ogoto. A very good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you. I would like you to sit in.
Oh, Lord. I was told you'll be by yourself. But
No, it's not myself. After the statement, you have to ask a question.
wish I cut.
Okay.
Okay.
It's all right.
I was
No,
waiting.
it's okay.
I was waiting for him to cut before I could continue with the convo. Okay.